Sitting there like you shaved up.
Sir.
Sitting up there like you shaved up.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay, sitting up there like you shaved up.
No.
I'm just wondering. We'll start
Sorry.
off like this. What's your name?
Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
Hey, I'm
How
good.
you
I'm
doing?
Sandra.
Welcome to an episode of Barbershop. Stories, the podcast, episode 101. That's what I meant to say. 101.
101. Wow.
101. That's what I'm talking about. We take it back to the basics.
Perfect on to be learning a little something about something.
That's right. 101. We got she's an author.
Yes.
I heard she was an author. They said she fat too. And they say, she done survived some things. Said she was running around here earlier saying, I'm a survivor. I'm still surviving. I'm like, okay. I'm gonna let her tell y'all about that now.
Okay.
She you native from Birmingham?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fellow Woodlonian?
Woodlawn, yes.
Okay, all right.
Class of 91. Class of 91.
She just
Yes.
might be all right. She just might be all right.
Yeah.
She just might be all right.
Them dogs in the house.
So we're gonna go ahead on over here and talk a little bit more to Miss Sandra. We're gonna let her tell y'all about what's happening.
And we ain't with line buys here. It's just so many great colonels out there,
There is.
Just so many great colonels out there,
yes.
man,
Hey,
Woodlawn colonels. That I speak of.
What's going on, Sandra? What's happening? Thanks for coming on.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me.
Appreciate it.
That's right.
Well, yes, I'm an author. I wrote a book, Healing by Faith. And a little about that, it talks about my journey. So I am a cancer survivor, breast and ovarian cancer. And right now I'm still dealing with the complications of that. So I'm dealing with avascular necrosis. And when you're dealing with necrosis, that's bone death. So both my hips been replaced due to that, the treatment part of my cancer. So healing by faith actually was something that I did because I wrote scriptures everywhere. Going through this treatment was very hard. So I had to go back to, train a child up. So I had to go back to my roots and I had to ask for healing because they told me I was not going to make it. My cancer was metastasis. It was very aggressive. So I wasn't supposed to even be here. I got 2 daughters that was in high school at the time, and it seemed like everything was just tearing apart, falling apart. I even went to, as far as telling my husband, hey, we need to go ahead and get a divorce because I'm not going to be here for you. And you need to move on and find somebody else. So I had already gave myself the notice. And it took a lot of courage for me to just realize that, hey, I'm finna fight. I'm not going to let this beat me. I'm not going to let this take my children. And, from the results of that, I had a grandson also that was born during this time. So it was like so much was going on, and it was like trying to tear me completely apart. So I started learning, started educating myself on my cancer so I could start helping others with their cancer. And that journey brought me to Cancer Awareness Network, which now I'm the president of that network. They've been around 25 years here locally in Alabama. And they help survivors. We have Cleaning for a Cure. We have financial assistance. We have everything, informational workshops to help other survivors understand that you're not alone in this fight with your cancer. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I know you said you went on your journey, and most of the time in most people's lives, you don't even know how it came about. It just some days seem like it just show up, right?
Yes.
So after you went through with your treatment and everything, what did you learn to do different to try to prevent it? Because everybody think everything can be prevented. But did you find any ways to say, okay, well, I was eating too much of this, or I was doing that, or some of the things that we just naturally started adjusting to with part of our habits, not knowing it? What are you doing different?
It was a lifestyle change. I did look at what we eat, and a lot of cancers now, that a lot of people saying that it's um, a lot more than it was in the time of our grandparents. Well, in the time of our grandparents, they grew a lot of their food.
Yeah, they knew
Our food is processed. So when I started looking into that, the processed sugars, all this stuff adds up, and we don't know how it's manipulating our body at the end of the day.
Right.
So you have to get involved with exercise, and you have to like go back. We eat a lot. We eat a lot, and you have to cut back. If I eat so much of this, I need to say, hey, I don't want that. And and I say we, and where we grew up, grandma is, hey, baby, you need another plate. Hey, you skinny. You need to eat some more. So we're always getting food pushed to us that we're not even looking at, hey, is this healthy for us?
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah.
Get that baby some more. What wrong with that baby? We
We
all come
comfortable
from
with
that
that.
age, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I seen some one time, and it said, and they asked this guy, he was like a health guru, and he was like, a guy asked him, he was, can't call his name right now, but guy asked him, he said, what do you think, the key to, he was an older guy, so he was like, what's the key to you living that long and still being that healthy and in shape? And he said, eating less.
Yeah.
So, that's interesting that you kind of turn the conversation toward that, you know what I'm saying, talking about how much we eat, because, pretty much, you know what I'm saying, when you speak about our folks, you know what I'm saying, we cooking, thinking about what we're going to cook later on, you know what I'm saying, eating later on, you know what I'm saying, most time we eat and think about what we're going to cook later on, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So I'm one for, I don't get me wrong, I eat a good healthy portion when I do eat, but I'm not going to say I try, but naturally I don't eat as many meals a day as just say status quo says, 3 times a day, 4 times a day, and snacks in between and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it's just a natural thing. So you said cutting back is the key.
Yes.
So how many times a day, or what's the the ratio you think we should cut back to, or
You
what
should
should it
eat
be?
when you're actually hungry. And a lot of people just eat.
I got you.
You should eat when you feel that you are hungry. That's when your body's signaling, hey, let's get something to eat. But we, just automatically assume, hey, we need to just eat this and eat that,
We got
and
that timer in our head.
yeah. And when you look at it, you done ate about 10 times a day.
That's right.
So some of that you can cut that out. And then it's what you eat. And like I said, it's so much processed. Even if you go to the store and buy fruit, it's processed. It's something in everything we eat now. So, that's just part of it. The medicine, there's something in that. And I also have a survivor stories. I do that, and it's a stage play. Where survivors, I have 10 to 12 survivors. They get on stage, and it's live, and they tell their story. This is every April. And they tell their story on before cancer, before they got diagnosed, doing, and then where they at right now. And part of that journey, all of them say the same stuff about what they have tried. I done tried this. I done, went over here and tried this medicine. I done tried doing this. None of that has anything to do, because all our bodies are unique. And that's when we get into individual treatment. So if I take a Tylenol, it may not bother me, but that Tylenol may hurt you. So all of us, all our bodies are totally different. So that's why no cancer is the same. Even though I had breast cancer, my breast cancer isn't the same as somebody else's breast cancer because of the cells and the makeup in our body.
So it has to be treated differently? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's targeted treating. It's different than days old where, hey, it was one size fit all. Now they look more into targeting the cells that have the cancer in that person.
has that given more accurate, you know what I'm saying? I guess healing or
Yes.
or results in healing.
Yes,
By
because
just okay. You treating each person uniquely, like you said,
yes.
And differently. That's resulted in more, you know, a different process
Yeah, because if you look at
and outcome.
if you look at the people, say black women with breast cancer in the 70s dying from cancer, that number is still the same today. Why?
Not getting the
proper health care,
the checkups.
So the treatment had to change.
Okay.
What treat you can't treat me.
I got you.
And because of all the other stuff we done been through, experiments, Tuskegee, we do not want to be, a guinea pig. We don't want to say, hey, I want to sign up for this because you might experiment on me. So we're still dying because of this. Because we don't want to step out and say, hey, treat us. We need treatment. So childhood cancers, and if you notice, they're going down. Because when you have a child, you want your child, it doesn't matter what color your child is, you want your child healed. And they will take their kid and say, hey, if there's any research going on, anything, trials you have, put my child in it. But when it comes to us, we say no. We don't want to participate in the trials. We don't want to do this because we still are afraid that, hey, you're going to mistreat us in some kind of way.
And the kidding part though, it's kind of fair for them to feel that way because there's so much proof and evidence and documents showing like years later that this is what they was doing, and I can see why people feel that way though. Even though I agree on both sides, it's kind of odd, but I agree on both sides because you kind of need it, but you don't know who conducting those studies accordingly, or it's just a quick lick to make some money because a lot of money comes through research. Yeah, but then also too, I know you were saying about the different treatments. Is chemo always the treatment or the only form, or are there other ways that they can treat cancers, or it depends on the severity or the type of cancer?
Yes, there are other ways. And I did not do chemo. I did 36 double doses of radiation.
I ain't gonna
So
lie, I thought that was the same thing.
No,
for real, I ain't saying that, I thought when they were saying chemo and radiation, I thought it was
no,
the same
radiation
thing.
involved.
It's different. And when you're treating an area, the doctors, you have so many different, a team of doctors. And that's why it's important. Knowledge is so important because we need to start talking to our doctor. Don't let them be in and out. Hold them up. Don't say, hey, you got cancer, and then they out the door. No. Where's my survivorship plan? Where's this step to that step? How we don't get there? From everything. If I got to have this many treatments, how am I going to get here? I work. Is this going to affect my children, my husband? What's all going to happen?
It's a life change, lifestyle change.
And that's why I advocate for National Cancer Coalition for survivorship, because we have to have a plan. And I know I name a lot of stuff. I do a lot. I don't know how. My husband said I work 50 hours plus. I'm the president of Cancer Awareness Network. Plus, I advocate for National Cancer Coalition of Survivorship. But I do this because I want us to survive. When I went through my journey, it was awakening for me. And I said to myself, how can I help others? Because I searched and I looked and I was like, where can we go? You have cancer centers everywhere throughout the whole country. But we're right here in Alabama. I need something right here. And that's where Cancer Awareness Network helped, because they've been here so long and we deal with all cancers. We're trying to give that knowledge and, to help other people overcome that diagnosis. Because it's painful and it's very, very traumatic.
Man, we're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Barbershop Story, the podcast, episode 101.
Ain't
I'm
nothing
a
better than
survivor.
Ain't nothing better than hearing it from somebody that's been through it,
I'm
going
a
through it. So, you know.
survivor. She is surviving. That's
But
it.
I agree with you totally on asking the doctor them questions because, you know, they after they get through doing what they're gonna do, you know, they stand there and ask you, you know, most times, you know, well, every time I've been, you know, on my annual, you know, they're gonna ask you, you know, anything you wanna ask me, anything you know, need to know, you know, they ask you, so, you know, you gotta have, I guess, something to kind of, you know, hey, I feel a little flutter right here, so, you know what I'm saying, you know, but
Most of the times you don't
most
know
times
what
we don't
to
ask.
ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm feeling pretty good myself when I'm speaking for
Mhm.
myself when I go in. So I usually don't have a question. I just usually talk to them like I'm talking now. Like, Doc, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, if something was wrong, I'll say it. But, you know, I don't know.
So it should be,
Tell
I
me.
feel like in the waiting area, you should have a questionnaire
I got you.
where you can actually take in the doctor's office when you in the privacy in there with the doctor, and you can say, hey, you know, I'm going through this or I'm going through that. Because when you there at that moment and they do whatever they're going to do and walk out, that's the end
That's
of it.
it. That's
But
our
if you have a physical paper that you looking at, you can say, hey, look, you know, I checked this box. I need you to discuss this, or I need you to explain it in terms I can understand. Because sometimes doctors, you know, they'll talk and you don't hear it. When they told me, when my doctor, she said, you know, you have cancer, I didn't hear none of that in the beginning. I didn't hear none of that at all. I had to look and say, what? You know, rewind that. And she was like, you have cancer. I said, cancer what? So, you know, I couldn't even comprehend what she was saying. And my brother was with me, Ernest, so that added to it because he started like, what kind of cancer? You know, he started asking questions and looking around like, really? So we need to go back and redo the way we do doctor visits.
I agree.
Even if you have, because a lot of us work. So you at work, you're taking off, hey, I'm going to go to the doctor real fast. So you by yourself. You don't have no one there with you saying, hey, ask this or ask that or do this. So we got to have some way of communicating to these doctors. Hey, this is what I need you to look for. And then it'll make you more comfortable.
Yeah, chocolate would be nice.
Yeah, you're right about that. When he told me, I mean, I don't know too many people got a bunch of questions outside of the initial shock. Later on, I asked a lot of questions, but then my doctor actually sat in the room a while, and I couldn't think of
Couldn't
nothing.
think of that.
Yeah. I think it'd be so many thoughts running through your mind, too. Because just like with anything, nobody think it'll ever be them.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of how many stories you hear, you don't never think they'll say, you know you're diabetic. Oh, you got high blood pressure. Oh, man, you that person having a stroke. Oh, man, you got cancer. You know, nobody ever really think it'll be them. Even though we know it's a possibility.
Yeah.
You can't imagine that, especially, you know, like I'm assuming that happened to you at a young age.
Yeah.
You young
38.
now.
I was
You know what I'm
38
saying?
years
So-
old, so
So yeah, that's
You know.
that's young. Like when you think you like I'm in my 30s, you know, that's old people disease. That's what people be thinking.
yeah.
I realize it happens to everybody.
I had an accident when I was little, when I was 7, 8, and I fell, and I actually fell on a set of praying hands, porcelain, and they broke. So that right there, when my mom got me to the hospital, they actually at that point wanted to do a hysterectomy on me. She told them no, and you know. So from my initial thoughts, even my brother, because he was there, thought, hey, maybe that's some of the porcelain that's showing up. And, you know, I'm 38, and we trying to go back and try to put this together. What happened? You know, how this happened. Yeah. And, you know, that's why I had to educate on, no, that didn't come from that. Even though my brother was convinced, I had to go back and do a lot of research and try to educate myself so I can explain to others what really happened. So I was so used to them telling me, hey, you know, waiting in a room saying, hey, you know, your exam is abnormal. I was used to that. But on this day, it's supposed to have been a routine visit, like always. And when the nurse came and said, "Hey, the doctor needs to talk to you," I was like, "Okay, I just changed doctor, so let me explain to her what happened." But when I got in there, and she was like, "Hey, that mass looks to be, cancerous," and I'm sitting in there like, "What are we talking about?" At this point, because I had a whole nother, what you expect, and then you get something else. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't expecting it. It was just out of the blue. That was just a shock. So that initial shock, even not even knowing how I got home, that's the whole thing that a lot of people have to think about before you just hit somebody with those words. Any news like that, did you have somebody with you?
Do you think that most people get sicker when they hear the news? Because some of them be just fine before they go to the doctor.
Yes.
And then when they hear the news, you see some people's lives just decline. You think that
Yes.
news normally be the
Yes.
the main leader of the declining situation?
You got two mechanisms I always think about. You either know fight or fly. So if a lot of people feel like, hey, they get the doom and the gloom, this is it.
Yeah.
And then your body start reacting to it. And that's where it came, healing from faith. I had scriptures everywhere. I had to tell myself, I had to speak it into myself, you are healed.
What was your favorite scripture? You said you wrote a lot of them. Now everybody
I have
got
a
a
lot of them.
favorite. What was the top one that you find yourself saying the most? You said, "Oh."
Yeah, no.
You said, "Oh." No, I'm just.
It is just so many that I just don't have just one.
See, one of my favorite scriptures is Matthew 7:7. Seeking ye shall find, asking it should be given to you. So you know what I mean? Now, I know a few more like Jesus. Well, I know about 6, 7 more.
Yeah.
But y'all, I think everybody got one that they probably say the most.
You snapped in because you knew what it was, what book it was in, and everything.
Yeah.
Then, dog, what verse it was. You snapped.
You know what I mean? Hey,
Snap. All right.
I read over chapter 2. Chapter 2.
Let me ask you. So, are the organizations that, if not the organizations that you're a part of, are there organizations that's kind of like trying to change, like some of those protocols when you enter a doctor's office, having charts that suggest some of these things? You in this age bracket, you need to be asking this question, or that such and such. What was it just asked? Do you have somebody with you before you break news? Said news. You know what I'm saying? Do they ask you stuff like that? You say they don't.
There's a survivorship plan now that we've worked on in Washington. So you can offer that along with them telling you you have cancer. It have questions, it have answers, it have resources, and it's a solid plan. But still, some of us are not receiving that, but it is out there.
Even outside of just say cancer per se, there's a person that's just going on a checkup. Because, like I said, I don't ask a lot of questions a lot of times. I talk back and forth with the doctor, but I don't ask a lot of heavy questions because, if you're feeling pretty good, even if something every now and then ache a little bit, you ain't even thinking about that day. You know what I'm saying?
Especially if it
So
doesn't
I'm
stop
like,
aching.
so will it be a chart? Just say, is it toss of a chart for just a person that hasn't had a discovery or a diagnosis like that? To ask questions that may lead to early prevention or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. A lot of things that we do, especially at the workshops, is we tell people that attend to start writing it down.
That's right.
So when you feel like, today you may have a migraine, write it down, write down how it feels, and make you, a little log and say, things to ask the doctor. So when you do go to the doctor, you'll have that, and you'll say, hey, on this day, I had, major migraines. On this day, my stomach was abnormal. You start making a list because you're the only person know your body. The doctor don't know, so they don't know what to ask you.
Yeah. Well,
And that right there could help you as far as your finding cancer in your body.
That's good
Yeah.
information.
Instead of you waiting, because we do it at the end. And like I said, by me going so much, I started having exams so early that it was caught.
I got you.
Yeah, at an early age, because they don't screen you at certain ages unless something else has
Unless
happened.
you tell them something.
Yeah.
Makes a whole lot of
Do
sense.
you have in your organization younger guys, actually for myself, around 50 or younger? Because I know a lot of guys I reached out to, they don't want to talk. I reached
Yes,
out,
I have.
they would not return phone calls, they don't even want to talk about their experience going through it, which could possibly help
somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have men share their stories also. I have women and men share their stories because I look at it as a whole. Everybody, this is even breast cancer. Men can develop breast cancer. So you have to know what to look for, and then it may be something that, especially with the younger generation, be like, I had this spot, it ain't nothing. I got hit in the chest with a football. No, you need to get that checked because it should not be there, and the more you educate the younger generation, the older generation will start saying, okay, I'm going to get checked. So that's where it got to start at.
Because the younger gonna push the older.
Yeah.
Same way the older pushed us when we were young. Like, yeah, you better go to the doctor and get it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of changed, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Both sides end up pushing each other. But somebody said that's great advice. I'm thinking they speaking back to when you were saying about making a log about your health day to day. You know what I'm saying? Because I meant to kind of amen that when you said it, because it is. And because like I said, you can't think of these things. You may think you're going to remember when you go to that annual checkup or when you go see the doctor, unless it's just something specific.
Yeah.
You go in there feeling good that day. You're gonna be looking for the fast track up out of there. You know what I'm saying?
And it's checkup for men, period. We're having a ride this Friday, this Saturday for Men's Health at Western Hills Mall because we're trying to get the men to understand, please go to the doctor. Men will not go unless y'all are on the deathbed.
I think,
Unbearable.
but I think
Please go.
I think that's an inherited mindset though too, because even if you're a young man that don't really know about some of the historic things, you see other men around you hollering, man, tough it up, man, you good in the stretch. All right, man. So I kind of understand it, even though I understand the importance of going, but I definitely understand the mindset why people don't want to go. No insurance.
Yeah.
Don't want to miss work. There's a lot of different reasons, even though that's not a viable excuse.
Shocking advice.
But it's definitely a reason, because sometimes when people hear stuff, it actually, to me, it seems like it make them sicker because it get into their mindset.
It
so
does.
some people rather not know.
And see, that's what you were saying, the financial part of it.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you sicker because I don't have the money to pay for this treatment.
Mm-hmm.
My treatments were very expensive. I had 2 Blue Cross Blue Shields insurance coverages and still paid a lot of money. So if you don't have any insurance, you don't have any money, you look at this like, I might as well keep on working till I die, and then that weighs more on you. Now you got this weight of you carrying this. And cancer is every day for me.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. It's not October, Pinktober. It's every single day. Because when I wake up, how do I know? I may wake up and the treatment may have done some. The cancer may be back. It's like a guessing game. So that weighs on a person, especially when they don't have treatment. So they thinking like, okay, today may be the day. I'm going to go to sleep and may not wake up. So that's a lot of pressure and stress on the body for it to go through. Yeah.
You know,
Deep
you
stuff.
mentioned eating list. It's a theory of mine that I thought about. I do it some, practice it sometimes. Let's say we don't eat sweets no more at all, but let's say if I had a sweet tooth and ate some, or even eat pork, I eat it on occasions, which means I'm trying to let it get out of my system before I do it again.
Yeah.
Because I know if you keep piling on, that's where the problem
Sitting
comes
out,
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to cleanse your body too. And a lot of people, you know, they don't shy away from, you know, I got to go to the bathroom. That's natural. You need to cleanse your body. You need to get that out of your body.
You just can't streak them folk toilet. But
But you got to get it out of there. You know? Yeah.
And one remedy, what you do, you lace the toilet first, so the shit can crawl on the tissue. So when it flush, you have a least likely chance of streaking the toilet. Now back to you, Sandra.
No doubt. According to S. Calhoun says, please get your prostate checked if you are 35 or older. The recommended age is older. You can save your own life. It don't feel good, but it is worth the discomfort. You got a couple extra words in that corner, but we hear you, baby. Good information now, brother.
Courtney, I think a lot of them waiting for them to come up with a blood test for it. Technology has went way too far for them folks to still be walking in the room. But I agree, though. I agree. I think that's what it is for most folks. Like I said, rumors and what
It's
you
the
hear
test.
is a lot of people way of saying, nah. But, you know, I get it both ways, though.
Yeah, you get a lot of guys talking about that. And it get crazy. I've had them done a couple of years straight, and the doc is quick for all you guys want to know, and it's uncomfortable, but it ain't. You probably been hurt worse in the street playing ball, you know.
Yeah.
So
I think for most people,
yeah,
it's the thought of.
yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
It's the unknowing.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of it
Unknown.
is, that's why we have to educate ourselves on it and just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, you got to.
Just do it.
And like you said, the cosign thing, like I said, ain't popular to say.
Yeah.
So,
It's
you know,
not.
a lot, you know, because
It's
it
not.
always been, you know what I'm saying, a man thing. I ain't going, you know what I'm saying. But, so, you know, we got to drop a lot of these stigmas and go on there and
Even
see about
skin
ourselves.
cancer for us. You know, skin cancer for most black people is found at the bottom of their feet. So it's simple stuff
That's crazy.
that we need to start making note of and start looking at. You know, any pigment changes. You know, you got to say, hey, you know, something, hey, doc, you know, this went like this. You know, you notice every change in your body because you've been with it. You know, if you 50 and if you had a car that's 50 years old, you had to change spark plugs. You had to change almost the motor about to go out. So that's basically like our body. So we have to look at every part of it and make sure it's functioning like it's supposed to.
I agree.
Well, given by, I ain't going to say lifelong, but I know your career in the auto parts business, you know what I'm saying, too. So that's why I know Ms. Fields from. But Cynthia Rudd, Miss Arkansas says, if you rather not know, you better have some insurance paid up so that the burden won't be left on your family.
Yeah.
What up, Miss Arkansas? What's happening?
She said, what's up?
One of Arkansas's
she
funniest
couldn't be no more
comedians.
right, you know,
September 25th.
that's pretty much what not wanting to know what could possibly be wrong or what could possibly be prevented, you know, leads to, you know what I'm saying, sudden illnesses and different things like that, you know. And
one thing that I was researching was crime and cancer. Because crime.
Oh, crime, okay.
Think about if the single parent, breadwinner of that household, has cancer. That eldest child has to go do whatever they got to do to make ends meet. You know, there is no, we going beyond right and wrong. You got siblings you got to feed. At this point, mama is sick or dad is sick. What we gonna do? And those kids will get together, and by any means necessary, they're gonna make it happen. And that stuff, that's why it's so important for us to acknowledge, hey, when you said the money, the financial, the insurance, cancer would bankrupt you. So you have to look at, are we at a point, we say people first. We love people. But if we at this point and we want to reduce crime, most of these parents, if it's mental illness, there's an illness going on. Mm-hmm. What are we doing to help the children that are left in this situation that can't fend for themselves at this point?
So that patient comes with a little bit more than just themselves sometimes, you know.
Exactly.
The whole situation comes with that.
Yeah, and that's what happens, you know, in families. Cancer can go through there, and it will be a cancer throughout the whole family. It'll tear that family apart, you know. And you dealing, like I was dealing with the burdens of, you know, going to treatments, making sure I'm at treatments while my husband had to work because we had to make sure we could pay for it. So that left our daughters at the house. Who was raising them at this time? You know, they was there. And it was a lot on them also. So that's why I focus on the caregivers also and what they're going through with that diagnosis. So it wasn't just on me. It was on my whole household that had to stand and had to be strong also. Because there was nothing they could do. They could do nothing because mom was sick. You know, mom can't get up and cook. Mom can't wash our clothes Everything changed. So you had to grow up. And, you know, when you put a child in that situation, you pray and hope, okay, which way they don't go. But if they at that point where there's no money coming in, ain't no food in that house, they don't have to survive.
That's right.
That can be a lot.
Yeah.
That's right. There's things people don't think about sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
You see an individual out there trying to get it. You know?
And you don't know why. You see them and be like, why that kid on the corner? You don't know why. We don't stop to ask the whys. And that's why, you know.
Not true for all of them, but it happens.
But it happens. Yeah. That's why we do scholarships and we do the financial assistance, the, you know, coming in the home, the cleaning. We're trying to heal our community with this dreadful disease.
I remember having a couple classmates, guys that I went to school with early on in school, a couple of them that I remember leaving school because they had to take care of a parent or something, or a parent was sick or something. I can remember that vividly now that we kind of discussing it. And these people were good friends of mine, and they were great students in school.
Yeah. They can be tough.
You know what I'm saying?
It's tough.
We ain't talking about nobody that wasn't have come to school.
No. You're talking about the good kids, the ones that you seen the bright future, and you go back now and say, what happened? You know,
you never knew why.
And you never knew. Yeah, and this is how this is a more than a cancer and a plague altogether, because it's tearing up our community, and that's why, you know, I advocate and I make sure, hey, you know, trying to bring money for our community, talk to the kids. And that's where Woodlawn Rights come from, because I want them to know it's so many writers at Woodlawn. But we got to give back to the kids where, hey, it's okay. Get you a journal, start writing. Put your feelings down, start writing about it. And that way we can know which way, you know, before stuff like this happens.
Good answers out there.
So everything ties back into the community.
Yep. So, Sandra, now of course we can sit here and talk all night long. But what I do want to say is this right here. For more info, tell them how to get in touch with you, your organization, where people can get help, where people can just talk, where people can get their hair fixed like you. However, give them the information,
all the above,
where they can get in touch with you.
Okay, our website is CancerAwarenessNetwork.com. We're on Facebook. You can reach out to us. We have our phone numbers on there. My Facebook page, Sandra Calloway Fields. Any questions you need answered, I'm here.
Okay. Well, that's what's happening. Well, hey.
Cancer Awareness Network.
Well, that's what's up.
Check them out.
It's
.com.
It's been a great episode. Hey, 101, like I said, back to the basics with Miss Sandra right here. So we appreciate her coming on. Well, I am one of the hosts, comedic narrator, haircut slanger Benny Mac, or just simply just Benny Mac. And that fella down here tell you who he is.
On No Nose, we keep some info for you. And I also would like to say thank you, Miss Sandra, for coming on and dropping these dimes on here today. And just, bringing more awareness to the situation and what's going on out there. And that we all really we hear, but we don't stop and take time to really consider and think about what people actually go through when you see a family or a person that's going through that. You know what I'm saying? So we appreciate you bringing that awareness to barbershop stores, and hopefully this flood the timeline tonight. You know what I'm saying? And blow YouTube out the water with this subject matter, man, because it needs to be heard.
It does.
Okay. Well, yeah, and then also, what's the name of your book?
Healing by Faith.
Healing by Faith, and the information you gave, that's where they can get it from?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
Healing by Faith. It's on Amazon.
Okay, tell them just one more time.
Healing by Faith. It's on Amazon.
That's the book title.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
She's also an author, people. Hey.
All right. Well, hey, shout out to K1. That's the cameraman. He's on the 1 and 2, but it's on the camera and the headphone. That's the 1 and the 2. But yeah, and also too, y'all make sure y'all tune in next week to episode 102 with my man Pookie F. Baby. Up out of Miami, Florida. We'll be getting ready for the comedy show live at the Start On Labs in Sessions. It's August 18th. You go ahead and get your tickets at starton.com. Also, look for the Recovering Whole Comedy Tour coming to a city near you soon. We start up August 26th in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas at the Hyenas. Shout out to Chris G. Shout out to Cooler Ward. Shout out to Felicia and E. But we'll be everywhere. So just if you're on the page, just go ahead and just get on the platform, man. There's all kind of shit on there. So that's what it is. I bring you that funny for a little money. There's always something to laugh at. Barbershop Stories, the podcast. Hey, we here, we there, we are everywhere. Hey, make sure you tell somebody what's going on, man. Like Sam said, we won't bring number info. Hey, that's what it is. And bye. See you next week.
Barbershop Stories 101. Sandra Calloway Fieds.
All right.